Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 1st October 2023. My name is T.S.V. Raghavan and I live in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. This is my spiritual vlog on YouTube. Hardan, 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 Haribol, TRSV, Nectar, NECTAR, Nectar. In this particular vlog, in all my previous videos, we have been discussing about the knowledge and information that we have gleaned through the study of spiritual books, scriptures, contemplation on the material universe, and meditation on the spiritual universe. This particular video in this vlog is no exception to that rule. In fact, it is a mere continuation of all that we have been doing in my previous videos. Kindly subscribe to this vlog and press the bell icon so that I may keep reminding you of all my past, present, and future videos. So let us continue with the topic of discussion for today's video. Today we shall talk about the vibration of different types of human living entities in this particular society. It has been mentioned somewhere that it depends on the individual psyche of every human living entity, whether male or female, as to which sort of or which orbit of vibration he or she belongs to. According to that particular theory, highly vibration, highly vibrational human beings or living entities are different from those who are normally vibrational human beings. What is this? Or what is the meaning of this particular theory? We shall try to analyze this particular point thoroughly in this particular video. So, before going into it, let us first talk about the preface of this whole subject or topic. We all know by now that when the individual spirit soul, which is a part of the superior energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, advertently or inadvertently tries to get in touch with the material world, which is huge in size, but which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead's inferior energy, this material world gets visibly irritated by such an unwelcome touch by that spirit soul. To avoid this irritation or to save its delicate body from such irritating itchiness by that touch, this material body envelops that spirit soul with four layers of material body. These four layers are as follows. The first layer is that is that of causal intelligence and logic. The second layer is astral body of mind, feelings, and emotions. And the third layer is the etheric body of senses, being five in number, namely sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. And the final fourth shell, which is known as the gross body and which is made up of four material elements, namely air, fire, water, and earth. Let us begin with this. There are actually five material elements which form the ingredients of these four bodies of material world that entrap the spirit soul which tries to get in touch with this material world. These five elements are ether, air, fire, water, and earth. The first three subtle bodies, that is, the causal body of intelligence, the astral body of mind, feelings, and emotions, and the etheric body of senses, are formed out of the first material element called ether. This ether can be neither felt nor seen by the conscious body of a human living entity. But the fact remains that this ether and these etheric bodies control the fourth gross body, which is made up of the other four elements, namely air, fire, water, and earth. Before proceeding further, let me remind you that this gross body, which represents this living entity in the society, is actually only an instrument in the hands of the three subtle bodies. This gross body is controlled, regulated, and monitored by these three subtle bodies through a mass of tissue which is called the brain and which is a part of the skull of this particular gross body. In other words, this brain is inside a cavity at the cranium of that gross body. This brain is the conduit or the link between the rest of the gross body and the three subtle bodies that envelop this spirit soul along with this gross body. Now let us talk about these three subtle bodies in detail. The first body, that is the causal body of intelligence and logic, is the first layer nearest or almost attached to the spirit soul itself. Hence, this is highly subtle and extremely evolved. It has the logical intelligence that is a part of some emanation from the spirit soul. As I mentioned even before, spirit soul is the supreme personality of Godhead's superior energy. Hence, the emanations from the spirit soul to the causal body of internals are certainly superior to the emanation from this material world, which is the inferior energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The second subtle body is called the astral body of mind, feelings, and emotions. This particular body, as the name suggests, is in the center. It is neither close to the gross body nor to the spirit soul. Instead, it is close to the causal body of intelligence and the etheric body of senses. It is in between both as far as its own quality also is concerned. It is not as logical and intelligent as the causal body, but it is also not as sensuous as the etheric body of senses. This particular astral body is very, very important in the purposes that we will discuss in my future talk in this video. The third body is called the etheric body of senses. This particular body is closest to the gross body of a human living entity. It is so close to this human gross body that vibrations from the etheric body of senses get an outlet through this gross body more often than not through the five sense organs in the gross body, namely two eyes for sight, two ears for hearing, two nostrils for smelling, one tongue for taste, and the complete skin and genitals of the gross body for touch. Thus, this gross body provides an outlet to the senses of the etheric body of senses. When a person dies, it is this gross body alone which drops to the ground in this material world. The other three subtle bodies, along with the spirit soul that is entrapped within them, leaves this gross body and begins floating in the infinite ether. Now we will talk about vibrations. As I had mentioned earlier too, these three subtle bodies use the mass of tissue called brain in the gross body of a living entity to give an expression or outlet to what these subtle bodies feel. In other words, these three subtle bodies made up of ether begin emanating messages or transmitting messages to the brain of the gross body of one human living entity 9 months before he or she is even born in this terra firma. In other words, while this gross body is being formed, these three subtle bodies are already existing and are active. In fact, it is only because of the superconscious memories and subconscious memories plus the destiny and the karma of that particular human living entity that a particular gross body is born in a family, an atmosphere, a surrounding, a community, a caste, a nation, or a continent. All this is because of emanations from those subtle bodies. Because of the messages transmitted by these three subtle bodies, this gross body is actually formed. Let us have an example. There are several human living entities. They are generally in two sexes, either male or female. These belong to different continents, that is, Americans, South Americans, Europeans, Africans, and Asians. Among these continents, there are several countries like Canada, United States of America, USSR, the countries of South America, the countries of North America, Africa, Asia, etc. People who are human living entities in all these continents differ in community, color, race, caste, creed, etc. But the fact remains that all are human beings. All have become what they have become as gross bodies because of their own destiny and karma. The superconscious and subconscious memories of this destiny and karma are passed through to this living entity through emanations or transmissions of vibrations from these three subtle bodies, namely causal body of intelligence, astral body of mind, feelings, and emotions, and the etheric body of senses. It is because of such continuous transmission 9 months before a particular living entity is even born that the gross body of that particular human living entity is formed. Some are born as Americans, some South Americans, some Europeans, some Africans, some Asians, some Muslims, some Hindus, some Buddhists, some Mongols, etc., and so on. This is all because of the vibrations from that subtle body. This is also because of the past karma of that particular human living entity. The destiny, karma, and the memories of both are the main ingredients or cause for the forming of the gross body of any human living entity. Now we will talk about the vibrations. Let me declare in advance that almost 75% of humanity, both male and female, in this particular society listens only to the vibrations transmitted from the etheric body of senses. 99 out of 100% of the time spent in this terra firma by that particular human living entity. In other words, on an average, every human living entity listens to and adheres to only the vibrations transmitted by the etheric body of senses. Very few, that is, those of the rest 25%, bother even to listen to the vibrations transmitted by the astral body of mind or the causal body of intelligence. Of these, 20% listen only to the vibrations from the astral body of mind, and only 5% listen to the causal body of intelligence and logic. Of this 5%, at least 3% listen to the causal body of intelligence, but whatever vibrations are transmitted from this body to the brain are again material only, or at best cerebrally material in nature. Only 2% of those in this causal body of intelligence are those living entities who listen to the vibrations of this causal body of intelligence, listen to the spiritual side of life. As I had mentioned before, there are two ways of leading this life in this material world. One is material and one is spiritual. Almost 98% is totally material. Only 2%, the select few, lead a spiritual life or try to lead a spiritual life. According to the theory mentioned before, highly vibrational living entities have some special qualities which differentiate them from the ordinary mortals who listen to the vibrations of this etheric body of senses. That is, 75% of humanity is happy leading a totally material existence based on its own sensuousness and vibrations that emanate out of this etheric body of senses. Only 25% may be called highly vibrational because they also listen to and adhere to transmissions from the astral body of mind and the causal body of intelligence. This does not mean that the vibrations or transmission from these bodies is absent in 75% of the mortals. No, even in their case, this vibration from the astral body of mind and the causal body of intelligence is continuous, just like that from the astral body of senses. But such vibrations are either ignored by that living entity or at best they come as a disturbance, irritation, or hindrance in the life of the ordinary mortals. But those mortals who choose to listen to the astral body of mind, feelings, and emotions, and the causal body of intelligence and logic are more contemplative and meditative. In fact, the 20% bracket living entities are very creative in different fields in this material world, whereas among the five in the next bracket of causal body of intelligence are contemplative towards the material side or meditative towards the spiritual side. Great creative artists, discoverers, inventors, businessmen, tycoons, entrepreneurs, musicians, poets, writers, painters, scientists, discoverers, monks, rishis, saints, maharishis, etc. belong to this 25%. Naturally, the qualities of such people are different from those multitude of 75% of this society who listen only to the etheric body of senses. Now we will try to differentiate the chaff from the grain as far as the qualities of these people in the society who are slightly different from the multitude. According to the theory that I mentioned before, these guys are different from the multitude. they are not like them, more so because for the first time they have noticed the emanation of transmission of messages from the astral body of mind and the feelings and the causal body of intelligence and logic. What are these qualities of such 25% bracket of humanity? We shall discuss in detail about their qualities in my next video. We will conclude this video in this particular juncture. Kindly let me know what you think of my talk on this particular matter. Please give me your own expert opinions, thoughts, and ideas so that I may blend everything together for the sake of this society. Before concluding, let me remind you that I am also a published author with Amazon Kindle and paperback. I write on spiritualism, fiction, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.